In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in Black and White emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White, where we are coloring conversations on the canvas of America. Tonight, we have a special guest for you guys that I'm sure you guys are going to get a lot of knowledge from. We have Dr. Hassan Karim as our guest. Dr. Hassan Karim is a faith-driven cybersecurity executive, educator, and robotics coach with over 30 years of experience bridging global industry and underserved communities. A self-described tech bidon, Dr. Karim's journey has taken him through Detroit, Memphis, DC, New York, Hong Kong, London, Atlanta, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Qatar, Singapore, and now Dallas, gathering both technical expertise and cultural insight along the way. He earned his PhD in computer science from Howard University, where he specialized in security, AI-enabled robotic systems, and critical infrastructure. He has led cybersecurity strategy at Goldman Sachs, PNC Bank, and Saudi Aramco, and helped shape national lock security framework for oil and gas and financial services from the US to Singapore. Over his career, he has secured more than $30 million in funding for cybersecurity initiatives and published award-winning research on AI risk modeling, homomorphic encryption, and privacy engineering. As a founder of Stable Cyber, Dr. Karim has focuses on building and conducting research in ethical AI secure systems and mentoring youth across robotics, software, and security disciplines. His coaching spans Black, Brown, and immigrant communities, reflecting a deep commitment to intercultural unity, faith-based services, and community uplift, whether guiding Muslim teens in robotics or advising global tech leaders. His mission remains the same: to have a massively positive impact on all 8.2 billion souls on the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you all to Dr. Hassan Karim. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you, Brother Charles.
Hey, I thank you for being with us. Is there anything you'd like to add to your bio before we get into the show?
You don't think it was enough?
I tell you, I'm really honored to have you here on the show. It's the specialty, especially in today's time with this electronics, the IT and the AI and so forth, that's so important that you bring a really, really strong case here as to not only what people should be knowing, but what we should look forward to going into the future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you bringing me on the show. And you're absolutely right. My mom started this back, 40, 50 years ago, trying to put in my mind, 40 some odd years ago, put in my mind, you can gather the knowledge from every shores and work hard, but learn this computer stuff. She had computers in her house when I was 8. That's back when there was none of this, you know what I'm saying? Right. And the only computers we saw were on TV with war games, right? You remember that? Do
Yes.
you want to play a game? And and so these were some of the things that we came up watching. And mom was like, we got to have computers here. And she went, and she wasn't educated. She did some school or whatever, but she went out and figured out how to raise some funds to get computers at the house, and then she started a school based on that, right? And I've been doing computers ever since. So yeah.
Oh wow.
Yes,
See,
sir.
so that got to be you got the jump start on a lot of people
For the world. I mean, and this is me humbly saying, yes, indeed. I'm not bragging or anything, but my mom was a visionary, right? She got us into computers in 1982, when the city I grew up in Detroit. We didn't have that. I grew up in a little city called Highland Park. Highland Park used mainframes from Detroit. So the city itself didn't have computers.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Ain't
sir.
that something?
Yes, sir.
So let's drop into let's just jump into your entrepreneurship and your innovation, and tell us what inspired you to become an entrepreneur, and how did you get started?
So entrepreneurial, I would say the spirit is in my blood, right? My dad was an entrepreneur. He got Businessman of the Year like 5 years in a row. When he was living in Oklahoma, he was just, this was, what he did. I think each of us as siblings, we knew what it meant to, go out and make some money, right? I think my first venture, I got elected the president of a teen dream pie company, right, when I was 14 or 15, something like that. And we were out there baking pies and selling pies out on the street. So we just, whether it was pies, newspapers, we knew how to acquire customers, and we knew how to deliver product, right? And I found that if you can figure out how to acquire customers and how to service them, then you're going to succeed, especially if you follow up. If you don't follow up, you're not going to succeed. So, but that was it. Always there was some new idea. My mom, she said, we said, why are glass broken on the streets growing up in Detroit? Why is there glass all over the streets? Mom said, well, why don't you do something about it? My brother and I, we was like, hey, we could start a company cleaning the streets, recycling that glass. We had the idea. We never took action on it, but we were always ideating on, how can we turn this current situation into some way to live off of it, revenue generation, right? I remember there was this, we come up in Detroit, everybody got water, right? But we see on TV, people in Egypt, they're carrying big buckets of water on their shoulders. Like, Mom, we should go pour all of this water into gallons and take it over there and sell it. We make money. Now they selling water to us.
Right. big old gallon jug.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But it's just, so I guess the point is that it's always been in our blood. Now, what I'm doing now, Stable Cyber is a consulting company. Most of the time, we're providing, deep experience with AI consulting and robotics design and robotics, cybersecurity around that whole infrastructure. We call it cyber physical systems, or IoT, Internet of Things. So this is a very niche market, and I got my PhD in it, right? So I happen to be not to stroke myself. I'm the man. I'm pretty. But more of a I've invested a lot of time to really know the technology deeply, to be able to sell that service in high revenue and high critical infrastructure. So yeah.
So what's the most valuable lesson you've learned from building a business?
Um, I think I said it before. You got to be able to acquire customers. You got to be able to deliver honesty and integrity. So, you know, do what you say you're going to do, right? And keep going. Just keep going. It doesn't matter if everybody else is, whatever, and they're on some whatever. Just keep going. And make sure that you're watching the margins, right? I think, everybody says, oh, we can go and start a company, this kind of company, that kind of company, which is good, right? I'm not saying anything is wrong with it. That entrepreneurial spirit needs to be with you. But what they don't teach you in the school of hard knocks is, the margins. The margins is what you live off of. What's the margins? The margins is I got to buy something and I got to sell something, right? And in between it is the margin, right? Yep. The margin between the buy and sell. And that got to be enough to live on. Yep. And it's not just, you can tell everybody I'm an entrepreneur and I'm out there getting it. I'm a baller, right? But what's your margins? What's your profit, right? And if you're not, then you're going in debt trying to look like you balling, right?
Yes. So, thinking about how young you started with entrepreneurship, because you guys actually started and you learned a whole bunch of things, I'm sure. How do you take that experience from then and use it now?
I think, it was what you learn early, especially if you start early, you learn to get what do they call it, desensitized to no, right? Mm-hmm. People say no all the time. People say no. We're knocking on people's door. No, go away. I don't need you. What you need? I don't need that. Get out of here. So I'm like, come on in, baby. No. Mm-hmm. But you just got to get that's what I got used to, saying no, right? When desensitized, it didn't hurt me, right? Rejection, I took them as rejecting what I was selling and not me, but building those relationships. Yeah, I understand. It ain't for everybody. So what you up to? What's going on with you? What's up with your life, right? Mm-hmm. So building those relationships, even in the face of no, people are rejecting your product and not necessarily you, right?
Right.
And so then when I got into the corporate world, I didn't take it personally when people don't like my ideas or it's just not right for them at that time. And it's okay, right? My goal is just, keep driving. All right, not that idea. Let's go with the next one. Not that idea. Let's go with the next one. So.
How do you stay motivated when the entrepreneur road gets rough?
I ain't got it for you. That one I don't got the answer for you. I really don't. Mm-hmm. I would say out of all of the things I find to be difficult is that one. Staying motivated, and you can watch videos and they'll tell you all kinds of things, right? I think two things. Number one, know your why, right? And this is what they always tell you in the videos and the books you read, and Franklin Covey and all of this kind of stuff. Know your why. When you put your why, the reason why you're doing it up front, then that gives you a reason. You look at that and you say, I ain't got it yet, so the why is still there and it's big enough. That's why you got to make your why big enough, right? Because if your why is just to get this little car, right, man, maybe it's not that big of a deal. So you don't go fight for it. You know what I'm saying? Right? You just like, that's okay. Let me go back to playing video games, right? And I've done that. So I'm not criticizing anybody. I've been there, right? But when your why is big enough, who used to say that? I get Les Brown, he used to say that, right? When your why is big enough and make you go out and fight for it, stand up and, work every night for it, right? When your why is so big, then you're going to go out and get it. That's the first thing. Number two, I would say have faith. Have faith in God and yourself It can be done. And sometimes you lose faith in yourself. Don't lose faith in God. Yeah, look, the proof is out here. It's been here, right? The proof is here, right? This is the proof. He didn't give up on you, so you don't give up on you.
Exactly.
3, I would say I keep that when I'm feeling low, I will go and put on something in my ears, some headphones or whatever, some good, positive, whatever it is. And whether if your thing is music, if your thing is, spiritual, whatever it is, but it gotta be positive. It can't be none of this negative stuff, right? Pumping yourself with positive energy wakes up your spirit, right? And when your spirit is going, then you're good. Okay, I'm good. Let's go. We got this. Right. So that's what I would say. I would say, make sure your why is big, have faith in yourself and the one who created you. Right. And feed yourself positive. Just keep feeding positive energy. And if you're around negative people, get them out your life or get away from them. Yeah. Some people you can't cut off family. Right. So you just gotta I didn't say that, but you just gotta step away. You know what I'm saying? Get some breathers and go where the positive energy is.
I agree with you 500% about that, because I think it's more than just a positive reinforcement. I think is, if it's the like-mindedness and the energy is high, it's actually contagious, and it makes you more motivated and makes you want to do more.
Yes,
And
sir. Yes, sir.
And so, what are some of the things, or have you ever had the situation to where, in the process of your growth, there was like some people that were like the Debbie Downers, and so when they were the Debbie Downers, like how would you actually handle that situation to remove that?
I don't know, bro. I would say headphones. Yeah. Invest in a good pair of headphones, straight up, and get out the house or wherever they are, go for a walk. Mm-hmm. Right. Exercise, like really, really, really is underrated. And, people talk about exercise, like, and you see these real buff dudes or whatever, and you're like, yeah, I want that 8-pack too. Right. But I mean, that's one thing. But if your why ain't big enough for that, then, maybe that's not your thing. However, I strongly encourage, and I've learned it. This is, it's not that I'm not talking about something that I haven't done myself. It is the exercise, just going out for a walk, whatever it is, just walking, swimming, whatever, just to clear your head. And then something about, and I've read some research on it where it's like, I don't know, the cortisones or endorphins, whatever it is that's going on, something medically, chemically happens to your brain where you get okay and you get back in a positive frame of mind. So, like you said, you're around those Debbie Downers, you got to step away. You got to do whatever you got to do to protect your energy. Right. Because if you feed on, and I don't know if you've seen some of those videos where you see, like, I don't know, where you can visualize that negative energy coming off of people. You're like, yo, trying to put up that shield, right?
Something, that's a real thing, because there are, and I have to raise my hand with this, I'm a vibey person, and I can tell you, I can vibe.
Yes.
That energy that you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'll try to get as far away from that as possible.
Right. Like with the quickness, the quickness.
Yes. What were some of the major risks you took early on, and how did they shape your career?
I was thinking about it and preparing for this show, right? What were some of those things, right? My dad put me on the bus with $25 and said, "You're on your own now, son." He sent me out to Howard, right? He sent me out to Howard with a check that bounced once I got there, right? I love my dad. But bruh, he knew we ain't had no money. I ain't had no money. And I had no idea where I was going to be living, right? I just knew. I tell you why I went to Howard. Like, people know it, right? I I wasn't the smartest cat in the world, although I guess they thought I was smarter than some other folks, right? But when the recruiters came to Howard, they were from Howard to our high school. I was living in Memphis at the time. They came and each one was talking about, oh, we do this and we do that, and then they got to the male to female ratio, right? And the first one, Hampton, they came, yeah, we got 6-to-1 ratio. It was like, I'm not that good at math. What does that mean? 6-to-1, right? What does it mean, 6-to-1? Right. She said, that means there's 6 women to every 1 man. Ooh. What? Wait, what? Even me? Because I was a geek, right? I knew. I'm like, look, I'm not that good at math, but I know the odds are in my favor. Right. And then Howard came the next week and they said 12-to-1. I said, sold. Right. Sold. I'm gone. That was it. It was just a calculation. It was just a calculation. I had a better chance of, finding somebody for me than or at least as good as anybody else. So 12-to-1 was a good ratio for me. And I learned ratios then. I learned ratios senior year or a junior year. I learned ratios in the junior year of high school, right? What is ratios? Now I know 12-to-1. That's what it is, right? 12 of them, 1 of me, good chances of winning, right? So I took a chance. That's what you asked. You said, what was the chance? I took a chance. I didn't know where I was going to be living. I didn't have housing when I went out there. I just went, sat in the office until they gave me a room, right? Oh,
wow.
That was it. And you know what? Here as older people, we think too hard. We think too much, right? Back then, and I look at my kids too, right? They just fearless, right? They don't because they don't understand the consequences, right? They fearless. They just go. I'm just going. I'm driving out earlier that summer when I went to college. Earlier that summer, I said, Dad, I got accepted into this program at Howard. It's just 3-day weekend. Can you rent a car for me? Right? He rented a car. Me and my partner, we just drove out to Howard. We had never left the city. We'd never been anywhere by ourselves except around the city in the car. Right? We jumped in the car, drove like 14 to 16 hour drive to get to DC. We like 17 years old, 17 years old kids. We don't know nothing. Right? But we got there and we met some people and we fell in love with the campus, the environment, right? I was like, I'm coming back, right? I'm coming back. Even though I knew I didn't have no money to be there. That's what I'm saying, right? It was about taking that risk, but kids, you don't know it's a risk. You're just going.
Exactly.
You're just going, right? And I'm not here to tell you that it's a risk, but it's a risk on the down low. But, you're just going and you just like everybody else can make it. If they can make it, I can make it. Why not me? Right? I can do it too. Right?
That is true. Wow. How do you define innovation in your own journey?
Innovation. Like looking at the things that you see that aren't there and asking why not, right? I'm seeing this issue and I'm wondering why not? Why isn't this there? Or I'm missing something, right? There's something missing, right? So whether it is in the lemonade or the way people sell lemonade, right? Whether it's in the car or like me, I deal a lot with security, right? And I deal with security, cybersecurity, right? Protecting computer systems. I deal with that because I know most people are not thinking, why not? They're just trying to push out a product, right? They don't care about the security. So I know that, right? Because it's easier to build, right? That's why. And so because it's just easier to build like that, then guaranteed there's going to be some security problems, right? So there's guaranteed market for me, right? So from innovation, it is like, oh, what are the gaps in there? Can I solve that? What are the gaps in this? Can I solve that? And with AI, it's just too easy to solve problems now. I mean, I'm solving, I got to say 2 or 3 niche problems per month when it used to take me like 3 years to come up with an idea and ideate and solve a problem. I'm solving them in 3 a month. And some people might say 3 a day. I think a little bit longer than that. Right. So,
Right.
yeah.
So can you share a moment when a failure turned out to be a pivotal learning opportunity?
Yeah. Yeah, I went to launch a company in Dubai. Um and it turned out it didn't work out, right? Because the margins weren't right. You see all of the glitz and everybody say, welcome to Dubai, come to Dubai, come to Dubai, right? So we went out there, we were about to launch, and then we saw the cost to launch compared to the cost to just almost do nothing or manage our costs back home. And so I take that not as a failure when we did that, but it was a pivotal moment when we learned that margins matter, right? You can't just say, we were going to be able to say, and we had already started talking like, yeah, we about to launch in Dubai. We about to get it, bro. What? We about to be big time. What? We love on this, top floor of this, the number one address in the city state, right? We were ballers, right? But the margins weren't right. It didn't make sense financially, right? It didn't make sense financially. We might have been able to say we hobnob with royalty and all of that kind of stuff. But if the margins don't work out, if the financials don't work out, then you shouldn't do it. So that was the pivot. That was we were able to pivot, come back, and come up with a new plan, right?
So how do you balance profitability with impact in your ventures?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question, right? So I personally, what I've learned to do, putting that my life's mission is to have a massively positive impact on all 8.2 billion people on the earth, right? With that goal, like we said at the beginning, what's my why? That was my why, right? Okay. And so impact factors very highly in my calculus, right? Whenever I'm calculating something, I'm not just, profit is good. I talked about margins, not necessarily profitability, right? I talked about margins, and I say margins because the margins got to be able to sustain us. So what my decisioning is about impact is there inside of after the margins, after sustainability. Now, do I want to have more impact? Then I can take out this chunk and put it into an investment project for the community, like invest in robotics programs for the kids, right? Teaching, taking my own time. I know this time, if I spend it consulting, I'm going to be able to make, maybe $20,000 more per month, right? But if I take this same amount and put it into helping the kids, then that impact, one, I put food on my table or more money and I got a nicer car or whatever, right? Or I can have a greater impact on these 7 to 15 kids, right? These 7 to 15 kids is a greater return on investment, because I'm making progress towards that 8.2 billion people, right? As compared to helping myself. I mean, and my family. My family is important, but we're able to eat, right? Alhamdulillah, thank God. But those 7 to 15 kids that I can mentor in robotics, they're going to be able to eat based on what we're doing. So now, like, it's just this little drop of impact that we have, right? And so that's really how I balance profit and impact.
I want to ask you this because I think I want people to think that I'm crazy, but when I'm listening to you, you actually have the big why.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
so,
Yes, sir.
you know, and when I think of most things that I do, I have the big why. Do you think, because you have that big why, that it helps you to visually see things a whole lot better? Or do you think some things are impaired, that they're skewed from your vision?
Both. Actually, that's a very poignant, very wise observation, right? You know, when you have it's just, and I used to toy with this idea often, right? I
Mhm.
used to be this very, I don't want to say I used to be. There's a time and place for everything. And I can be very meticulous, right? Looking at every single detail, like really like turning it upside down or whatever.
Microscopic.
Right. But the challenge is that you get stuck, and then we call it analysis paralysis, right? You get
Oh,
stuck in
okay.
the analysis, right?
Mhm.
If you're always down in the details, then you lose the big picture, right? And we talk about it at work all the time. I deal with guys who used to be like, who are like who I used to be like, who are technical purists. Like, no, I'm not doing that because it's technically, actually, it's not right. Okay, right, right. And so, yes, I used to be that guy, right? But when I started taking the bigger view on things and saying, is it better for me to fight this small little minute battle that is inconsequential, or can I get 80% past, even though I am making a decision to like downplay or not address this little small thing, right? And so I learned to have a bigger impact by not focusing on the details, right? I
Mhm.
learned to have you got to pay somebody to focus on the details. So don't get me
That's
wrong.
true.
You got to
That's
pay
true.
somebody to deal with that. Don't miss the details. A lot of times they say the devil is in the details. I don't like the term, but yes, it's true, right? Exactly. Exactly, right. You can get beat by the details, right? But um you see more people having a greater impact when they're pushing these big agendas and accomplishing 80% of it, 70% of it. So they miss 30%. They still got,
Right.
like
Right.
you shooting
Right.
for 8.2 billion. Oh man, you only hit 8 million. Okay, how many you got? You know, you know what I'm saying? You got 8. You get, you get what I'm
I got
saying?
you.
So it's you gotta, you know, it was just it turned into a math thing. Again, I'm not good at math, but that's what I learned, right? Like
Mhm.
when you look at these big ratios, right? And
Mhm.
I say I'm not good at math, actually. I just got my PhD and I had to develop some math. So yeah, I guess I know a little bit now, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's it. Yes, you do lose focus. You got the camera and you got to focus, and you focus in and you focus out or whatever. And when you focus out on the bigger picture, then these smaller things in front of you become grainy, right? But on purpose, because the
Right.
bigger picture has a bigger impact.
Right. So, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs navigating tech-focused industries? I mean, I'm sorry.
For me, in the world that we're in right now, my recommendation, I'm telling young people, I'm telling entrepreneurs, look at the cyber physical world. Look at the cyber physical world. Look at the cyber physical world. What does that mean? That means, if you can do it all with software, it's probably going to be AI the way soon, right? Somebody's going to do it. You could do it, right? Be that guy that eliminates that job, but it's going to be eliminated, whatever it is. So I wouldn't, especially if I'm starting off now, I wouldn't be trying to be a pure play software anything, right? Try to get into, I mean, let me back down a little bit after that. From a, if you can generate some revenue on it, it's okay. Whatever it is, if you can generate some revenue on the product that's software only, and that revenue is sustainable, then work it, right?
Mhm.
But I think long term, getting into something that deals with robotics or physical access or um, HVAC systems, building management systems, vehicles, all of those things have computer systems in them now, right? I
Mhm.
strongly encourage everybody to be looking at either doing some kind of automation with them. The physical world ain't going away. You get
Right.
it? You get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yes.
And it's not going to AI itself, right? So
Mhm.
the physical world is still physical world, and interacting with the physical world, there's a lot of money in that, right? As an entrepreneur, there's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of business unmet demand in that space. And if you can get in that space, just develop a niche and keep moving. And the companies that are in that space, they're making bank. So
Mhm. Do you have any tips that some people could think about as far as getting into that industry?
sure. So everything takes an investment, number one. So if you're investing, where it talks about whether you're investing time, money, those are the main thing: time, money, energy, right? I would say, if you're it depends on the kind of investor you are, right? If you got money but you don't have time, or you have time but you don't really have a lot of startup capital, I would tell you, my recommendation on the latter is to talk to somebody with money, right? But work with Claude, get on Claude or ChatGPT and give it a prompt like, hey, here's what I know, right? And maybe if you have a resume, pass it. Here's who I am. Here's what my background is, right? Here's what I care about. Give me 15 ideas that would help me be able to monetize, my skills in that area. So use AI to help you ideate, right? And then use another AI. Sometimes this is what I do. I'll use Claude for one thing, and then pass that answer over to ChatGPT for another analysis, a second opinion, right? And
Mhm.
then ask, hey, give me a model. Act like a Y Combinator. Y Combinator is a big investment company, right? They nurture and build people, right? Act like a Y Combinator advisor, and give me filter this list and tell me which ideas make sense based on, I am this person, this person, this person, right? Then you will come up with a set of idea that's real. Believe it, believe it, believe it. It will be real. You can do it. You go and you take that, you say, okay, give me a PowerPoint deck for that, right? Give me a pitch deck for that. You take that idea, you go talk to the person with money, talk to whoever you know with money. Look, I got this idea. I can do it, right? I swear, I got you, right? We're gonna make some money on this, right? You're going to get some no's. It's okay. Go through 15 no's. You're going to get one yes. Maybe it's not enough money for you to jump off, right? But whatever it is, you're going to get the no's. Accept that you're going to get the no's. Just go to the next person. Go to the next person. Go to the next person. Get $100,000 investment. Now you can do something with that cyber physical world.
So, how do you spot opportunities in entering markets and technologies?
Entering market, spot opportunities. Um, I think it helps to be in the market, right? It helps to be there. And really, we have no excuse to be missing out on the information these days. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to go door to door trying to find out whether my vacuum cleaner will sell, right? You don't have to go door to door and see if they want the soap that you have or whatever. You can look and see online, the information comes to you. So to me, it's just the news feed. Same way you get the social media. I don't, I try not to be on social media at all and try to just get feeds of new ideas, right? So the new ideas come to me, right? Literally, I'm not even being spooky about it. The new ideas come literally to my phone. I'm like, oh, I like this idea. Let me talk to ChatGPT about it, right? Can I fit this into my framework? Oh, or no, just scroll. So the market, search. You searching for these new ideas, and then the system, people get mad at the algorithm, but you can use the algorithm, right, to your favor. So that's how I do it.
So what's your philosophy on leadership in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, my brother, he's amazing. He's a leader and entrepreneur, both of them, actually. One of them is in legal consulting, and then the other one, he's in construction, real estate development, large, multi $100 million projects, right? So I see them both as those kinds of leaders that you lead from the front, right? And you're decisive, right? You got to be decisive, right? As an entrepreneur, again, being analysis paralysis, this is my fault, right? Getting caught in analysis paralysis, right? You got to make a decision that we're pivoting, we're doing this is what we're going to do. And if it's not right, okay, you learn what didn't work, right? But you took a decision, right? So leaders do that, right? Not making dumb decisions. You analyze, right? But you take in all of the data that you have. I know this, I know this, I know this. We're strong in this. We're not so strong in this. Our competitors are not so strong in this either, and they're not strong in this. So this is the one that we're going to go with. And we're just going to go and do everything in our power to get it done. I mean, I think I learned that from my brothers, but I learned that from my mom and dad. My mom, she was just amazing. Dr. Lena Karim Muhammad, she just was like this, she's the kind of person that you probably should read books on, right? I remember, like, my dad, he got Businessman of the Year 5 years in a row. But the secret sauce is that it was my mom behind him. She was the mastermind. He was the vision. He was the mouthpiece. He was the one who inspired people to follow. And she was the orchestration engine. She was the one, getting them on TV. Like, in the time when there were no publicists, there were no Black publicists back then. But my mom, she would call up the station like, yeah, we got something for you. You're going to miss it. So-and-so is about to host us on that. Oh, well, no, I want you on my show, right? And so she would work her way on to, or work my dad into a TV spot or something like that. So, those two together taught us, you got to make your own way, and you got to blaze a trail, and you got to be the leader. The world needs us as leaders.
That is true. Let's pivot over to your teaching, mentoring, and community engagement. Can you tell us, why is mentoring youth such a core part of your mission?
8.2 billion. 8.2 billion. It's my why. You got to, as I analyze, how can I get to that? How can I make an impact long after I'm gone? Just like the ones who impacted me long after they're gone, right? I was thinking about earlier, you had asked, like, who are some of the biggest people that impacted you, right? And I can't answer just one, right? I remember Dr. Gardner. He was my freshman physics teacher, Dr. Gardner. I'm talking about, I can tell you some of the things he taught me 40 years later. 40 years later, if you can remember what your teacher, who, whether you like physics or not, in fact, he wasn't even teaching physics. It was a physics class that he was teaching life. He was teaching life up in that class, right? And he had an impact on me, right? 40 years later. So that's what I want. I want to have an impact on my students, on the people I mentor, right? 40 years later, even if they don't remember how I don't even care if they don't remember my name, but God knows I had an impact on them. So I fulfilled my objective, right? I lived to have the impact on 8.2 billion people, right? So that's how you do it. I choose to mentor these people who are going to be the next leaders. And you can complain about them. Oh, those Gen X, those not Gen Z or AA or whatever they are, AA battery people, whatever you call the Gen, right? You can, millennials, you can talk bad about them if you want, but they're the leaders, right? And it's your fault, right? Yep. You either can point blame or you can take action and do something about it, right?
Sir, yes, sir.
So that's what I try to do. I am taking action and try to the people in our community, wherever they black, brown, white, Chinese, whatever, they need help. They need our guidance. They haven't seen it all. They think they know it all. We were there. Remember, you used to think you knew it all, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I remember thinking that I knew it all, right?
Yep.
I remember I was an arrogant, snot-nosed little whatever, so-and-so, right? And I remember the first time I got passed over for vice president. I just came into the bank. They talking about I was 24 years old or 25, and I was like, look, I'm leaving. Y'all promoted this guy. He didn't even know anything, and y'all made him VP. Y'all need to make me a VP, right? I left. Man, I didn't know anything. I was technically good, but I didn't even know how to talk to people. Right. I didn't know how to let silence talk. Right. You can be technically good, but not be wise. Right. And so that's what the students, what our children need. That's what the youth need. They need. I pray that they listen. Really. This is what my prayer is. My prayer is that they listen, because we old people, we talk all day. Y'all boomers, y'all old. I said, you pray that you get old, boy.
Okay.
Come on, right? You prayed. Look, what, you want to die young? I didn't. Well, I mean, I remember growing up, I was 17. I remember they asked me, what you want to be when you grow up? Alive, right? I want to be alive. I want to live to 21, right? And the statistics show that if I live past 21, then I'm going to live. Right. But the statistics don't show me lasting to 21. Right. I'm growing up in Detroit. I'm growing up in like literally the hood, right? Murder capital of the world, right? I just wanted to be alive. So.
So what approach do you take when guiding someone unsure of their path in tech?
Make a choice and just do it. It don't even matter. Just go deep. Go deep. Stop going. Yeah, it don't matter. It really.
Go for the home run.
Just go deep. It doesn't matter all of these other options. You're unsure of the path. Okay, choose something. Do it. Did it work? Just try it for a year. Try it for 6 months. It didn't work. Okay, change. But don't fool yourself when you say, I tried it and I sat in this job and did nothing and scrolled on my phone. No, that's not IT. That's not how you do any job, but definitely not how you do IT. You sit and go deep and become expert, have all of the answers to this thing, right? You might not like it, right? I talk to girls are more like this than guys, right? Now, like our community, the boys are a little bit like that too, but the girls, if they want to go deep on something, they do, but it just don't. Most of the time, it doesn't excite them, right? They'll spend the time. They have the patience to spend the time, but then after spending the time, they're just not satisfied. Okay, this is what I tell you. You've done your part. You went deep. Now move to something else and go deep on that, right? Don't get caught up on, I don't know what to do, right? This whole I don't know what to do is going to leave you lost. Right. So it's best to choose. And in fact, there's definite research that validates that making a choice, whatever the choice is, based on whatever information making an informed decision is better than waiting, just trying to wait for all of the answers to come for you, even on the wife, even on your mate, right? Just choose. I mean, you might lose. Okay, just start over. It's okay. right? You're not going to die, right?
Right.
So
That's true. That is so true.
my boy Pat, he used to be like I don't know if she gonna like me. He said she ain't gonna bite you, she ain't gonna slap you and tell you get out your face. Just go try it. It ain't gonna hurt you, right? The
Right.
worst thing you can do is for her to say no. The best thing, you got her number, right?
Right.
So, go for it, shoot your shot, right?
How do you measure the success of your mentoring efforts?
Two or three things. I mean, this is something that I do keep metrics on. Who's doing what with it, right? Are they going on to, how did they do in the year after I mentored them, right? And whatever it is, if they're doing robotics, if they're doing, if it's the real young kids, are they engaged in another level of, something technical, right? Or if they're older, like just graduated from college, do they have a job now, right? Or if they graduated from, if they're in the workforce, have they moved on to a new level, right? So taking where they are based on the last time we talked, and did I ask myself, did I give them enough information, right? Did I point them in the right direction? Sometimes I talk too much, right? So that's one of my problems, right? Did I listen enough? Right.
Something, being loquacious is not a bad thing.
Indeed. There's pros and cons to it. You know what I'm saying? Because, if some people just need you to listen, you get what I'm saying? Some people just need you to listen. I remember when I learned that word loquacious, 12th grade, Miss Jackson, this is in Memphis. She taught it. There's entirely too much din in here. You're being entirely too loquacious, right? So it was great that we learned some SAT words, right? But
I can just imagine your class.
Yes, sir. But but sometimes people just need you to listen. So that's one of the things I remind myself when you get on the call with the person. Listen, and give pearls of wisdom. Pearls are not like this; they're like this, right? They're these small little things. They're not like this. And my wife tells me that. She's like, they're not gonna get all of that stuff that you're talking about. You talking too much, right? You saying too much, right? So this is I'm learning. I'm getting better at it. I think.
What kinds of projects have you helped youth launch or develop?
Robots. There's a young guy. There's a couple of young guys, but there's robots and AI. So one of my students, he made the national. There's this organization called for the inspiration with robotics of science and technology, or something like that. First. So it's a worldwide organization with hundreds of thousands of people involved every year. And one of my students, he made it on the dean's list, which is like saying the top 52 people in the world, right? In this. So I was able to inspire him. And so I say, he's now moving on. Another one of my students, he's going into paleontology to study like dinosaurs, right? Another one of my students, he's still he's like, he just found a way to get to pilot school to be a airline pilot, right? Another young lady, she's probably going to start at Goldman Sachs. So, most of the time it's not entrepreneurial things because most of the people we deal with are not entrepreneur minded, and that's okay too, right? That's okay. Let them, I'm okay mentoring either way. I think being an entrepreneur, you got to be, to succeed, you got to be real. You know what I'm saying? You got to be like, hey, this is it. This is me. There's no going back, right? You can go back, but in reality, to be serious and an entrepreneur, you just got to say, hey, burn the boats. I'm not going back. This is it.
So how do you adapt your mentorship for different personalities and backgrounds?
And you know what? I remain true to me, right? I know who I am. And if you don't like my style of mentoring, you probably need to find somebody else, right? I'm going to keep it raw. I'm going to be real. I might try to, what I'm not going to do is be like coddle you, right? I'm just not. That's what your mom do, and that's how you got where you are. You came to me for something else. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's it.
So what would you say is your proudest moment as a mentor or a teacher?
I got my kids nominated me for best coach of the year, right?
Okay.
Or best mentor of the year, right? That was it. I was hyped. I was just like, emotionally, it meant that they got it, right? Or they felt my presence. Not necessarily they got it, but they felt my presence, and they felt me like pouring in all of the positive energy, right? I didn't know what I was doing, right? I didn't
You was
like the
just doing
robotics. I was just doing it. I was just trying, right? I didn't know robotics. I grew up in Detroit watching robotics decimate my city, right? But I wanted to know what robotics were. So when we started a program, the community said, let's start a program. I went hard trying to learn it all, but I didn't know what I was doing, right? But that year, the kids nominated me for best coach of the year or something like that, like mentor of the year. Just really, 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 it really just like, that was my proudest moment, really.
How does mentorship enrich your own personal and professional life?
It's enriching because you have other stuff to talk about, right? At work, you get bogged down in just the conundrum or the doldrum of just like the same thing day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And so it breaks it up, right? I was able to bring in my students into the office and have them show off the robots. And so people were talking about the robots and the kids for like years after that, right? So it definitely gives you something else to talk about. And personally, you get to reflect and say, oh, remember so-and-so, they're going to UTD. Now I wrote them a reference, and now they were able to get into the university, right? And so, those kinds of things just make you feel like, yes, that impact that I'm having is real. This is how I'm doing it, right? Otherwise, if I was just focused on me or just focused on me and my kids or whatever, my kids don't, kids, they don't all really, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's your advice to professionals who want to start giving back through teaching?
Number one, don't wait. Just do. You don't have to be any organization. You just go up and try, right? Go up to a school and say, hey, I got time, right? Or go up to the community center and say, hey, I got time. Go up to your church or your masjid or whatever organization, Kiwanis Club, whatever, Masons, whatever. Just do. and don't wait for somebody else to organize something. You go and do, right? Because, sometimes it works if you get with a bigger organization. But sometimes you just got to do it. If you want to feel that energy coming back from giving, then you got to take the action to do. And as you can tell, I'm an actionary, right? I have a bias for action, right? That means that I'm not waiting. I don't promote waiting around for somebody else to lead, right? You just do, and I guess that make you the leader.
How do you encourage resilience and self-belief in the young people you work with?
What I try to do is tell them to look at their elders, right? Quite frankly, I'm honest, right? Because sometimes they'll get caught up in looking at Joe Blow, Super Stowe on whatever TikTok or whatever, whatever. And it just, bruh, I don't know, man. I can't. I don't, just get off. I don't want to say get off YouTube because you're on YouTube, but I don't want to tell people to leave your channel. But
Right.
no, get off of the death scroll of the social media and just get up and do something, right? Just keep going. Put the phone down, put the app down, and go do something, right? And when you're working on something, you will become resilient. You get knocked down, get back up, right? I like I said, when I put on my headphones and block out all of the negative energy, if it's, if some kind of positive something is coming into me, whether it's the word, whether it's music, some positive stuff, not anything negative, right? Whatever it is, but use that to like recharge. So that's where resiliency comes from.
If every young person knew one thing about tech or entrepreneurship, what would you want it to be?
I would want them to know that it was all created by man, right? And if that's the case, then you got this, right? There's nothing that you can't get, right? You got this, right? You got this, bro. Come on. We got this. Don't let anybody put you down. Don't say, oh, that's for them nerds. Man, come on. Them nerds getting paid, right? Come on. Really, come on. Get up, get some, go to work, right? This tech stuff is easy. You got to get it. You just got to put your mind on it. Like, just do it, right? Kali Linux. I'm telling you that I'm dropping a little piece of thing. Kali Linux, Kali Linux. If you're young, if you're old, if you need to do a new start, get into penetration testing, hacking, right? The reason why I'm promoting it is because a 7th grader came up to me one time. I was speaking on Capitol Hill or at a conference for senators, and it was Congressional Black Caucus Week, right? And there was a forum that I was speaking on, and some middle schoolers came up, and it was a forum on, building a pipeline of talent for cybersecurity talent into protecting critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure means like the oil and gas plants, the water pipelines, electricity system, right? This one 7th grader came up and said, excuse me. I'm in the 7th grade. How can you stop me? I know how to use Kali Linux.
Ooh. Drop the mic.
Mic drop. Really, Kali Linux is one of the most dangerous tools on the earth. It's one of the most dangerous tools on the earth. And it's easy enough for a 7th grader to use.
Wow.
It's easy enough for the 7th. And if a 7th grader, why did he use it? We started probing him and asking him, well, what were you doing? He was like, well, my brother changed the Wi-Fi password, and I wanted to know what the Wi-Fi password was so I could start gaming again. So my friend told me about this tool called Kali Linux. Kali Linux has some tools built in that you could use to, sniff all of the Wi-Fi passwords in your neighborhood, right?
Oh, wow.
Boop.
Oh,
Right.
Hack.
But guess what that did? Guess what that did for that kid and the other kids around him? They got inspired, just like I did watching War Games, right? It was hacking, right? You remember that show, War Games? You want to play again? The kids just remember that show, Whiz Kids. They were just trying to hack. They were really just trying to play video games.
Yes,
they were not.
That's all they were doing.
That was all they were doing, and that's all I was doing, and that's how I became good. So I would say, you can do it, and the easiest thing to do is Kali Linux, and then start talking about it and get around people. You got to talk about what you're working on with people, and if the people don't get it, then get a different set of crew, right? The people around you, if they don't get you, whatever, and I say this, it's not just for technical, right? If you business minded and the people around you are not business minded, go get a different crew. If you like cooking and the people around you don't like food, go get a different crew. You know what I'm saying? Yep. But whatever it is, you got to surround yourself with like-minded people that's going in a positive direction. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And not like holding themselves back or, just talking about, oh, look at them. They don't know. Come on. Right.
So let's talk a little bit about your cybersecurity expertise.
Yes, sir.
What initially drew you to cybersecurity, and what keeps you passionate about it?
Cybersecurity. I'm gonna tell you. Before it was a term, it was not called a term. There was a little girl named Angela Hart, and I hope that she's hearing this video, right? A little girl. I was working I was at Howard University. I was around my junior year, sophomore year, mentoring a program called Upward Bound. Upward Bound is for, I think, 9th grade students in the inner city to come into the university campuses and, feel what it meant to be in college, right? Mm-hmm. So that summer I was working at the White House. And I somehow got a job doing, web pages at the White House, developing web pages. But also, too, I pivoted while I was there into cybersecurity. And I'll tell you why. Angela Hart, I went around the room and asked all of the kids, it was about 25 of them, 9th graders, rising 10th graders, what did they want to do with their life? And I asked them to be as explicit as possible and paint the most vivid picture in your mind that you can, because if you can visualize it, you can be it, right? And so I gave them an example. I painted them this brilliant picture of, I wanted to push a Lexus GS300 black with a purple stripe down the side, dual chrome plated exhaust pipes, right? 12 Bose speakers, leather interior, right? That was my vision, right? I wanted to be boom, 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 boom. And I gave them the vision. And so I inspired in them to have a vision. And then I asked them, okay, so what do you do? This girl, she went and painted a picture for me that turned me. I was a 25-year-old. She was going 9th grade, right? I was junior year in college. So 25, she probably 14, 15. Right, 15 years old, 10 years. She made me pivot into cybersecurity. That day, what did she say? She said, my goal is, she said, I want you to imagine a cave. All right, got you, cave. And this is 1990 something, right? This is the 90s. She said, a cave full of screens, monitors on the wall, right? We didn't have nothing like that back in the day. Right. Probably, that don't exist. Right. She said, imagine a cave with a bunch of monitors on the wall and you're tracking a hacker from one end of the earth to the other. I want to be that person who's able, right? I said, girl, where'd you get that from? Like, wait. What made you think about that? How did you create this concept that you could be tracking hackers across the globe with a bunch of monitors on the wall, and you got a team there with you. She painted something like Batman, but Batman with a bunch of monitors. You know, like what
Yes.
Tony Stark, he have all of the computer systems or whatever. That's what
Yes.
she had painted. This was in the 90s or 90s.
Right.
A little girl said that. I said, "Where'd you get that from?" She said, "Well, my dad is a math teacher." I said, "Well, but that didn't produce that vision." She said, "I read this book called Cuckoo's Egg, right? And Cuckoo's Egg it's a real life story about a guy who he's just a programmer and trying to find a problem with why his program was running so long. And he stumbled upon a Russian espionage program. They were broke into Lawrence Livermore lab and a bunch of other national labs in the country, right?
Wow.
Right. That day after class, I found a library, not library, because they didn't have a library. I checked her out. I went to every bookstore I could to find this book called Cuckoo's Egg. Yeah, found this book called Cuckoo's Egg. I wasn't a reader at the time. I'm a reader now, but I wasn't really a reader at the time. I read that book cover to cover, and it changed my life. Instead of just doing web pages at the White House, now I was talking to Secret Service, like, "Hey, how do you do this? What do you do?" Da 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 da. So I was learning from the Secret Service at the White House of how they track down the hackers, right? So I happened to be in the right place. It was mentoring that pivoted me. I was already doing, user account management on the systems there at the university, right? And creating accounts for people. I was already tracking down hackers at the university. Like, we would remove an account, then somebody would come and compromise the system and get in. So I was always trying to figure out, like, how did they do that and how do I stop them? So I was already doing some of that work, but I wasn't interested in it. What I was interested in at the time was doing web pages and, getting publicity. It was like the early, doing like social media stuff, right?
The early onset.
Exactly, the only onset. But I pivoted then that day into cybersecurity, and it's really been good to me ever since.
So, what do most people misunderstand about cybersecurity threats?
It ain't gonna happen to me.
Dude, you know what? I don't want to sound horrible, but I'm going to tell you something. Remember that situation with CrowdStrike?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had 2 computers that was affected by that.
Wow.
2.
Wow.
2.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes. And I got to tell you, of those 2, I mean, one didn't actually come back at all, but one is not the same, so I don't even use it.
No, don't. Look, don't touch it. Go get it scrubbed. Right. And that's the issue. And I'm saying we're all guilty of it. It ain't gonna happen to me. I used to be like, no, I'm the baddest. Nobody can take me. I'm walking around like, in the cyber world, like, right?
You flexing and everything.
Then bam. Like, I was running a security operations center. I had 21 people working for me at the time. Somebody got my account. I clicked on some phishing thing, and then it got all of my accounts, and then started sending email to my staff talking, go buy this iPhone, and it ended up somewhere else downloading malware, and then they were laughing at me. They're like, oh, that's how they got you. So look, that's the thing that people believe. It ain't going to happen to them, but it can. So the best thing you can do, quite frankly, honestly, I'm not the one. Yeah, I hate to be promoting people's products, and I'm not going to, but you should have antivirus minimum, some kind of antivirus, anti-malware. Be careful on what you click on. If you don't know who it's from, don't open it, delete it, right? Don't, nothing, don't engage, right? Be very, very careful. Not if it looked too good to be true, it is. It's too good to be true. Don't even touch it. Even no matter what, they be going hard these days. The other day, I got an email. I was looking at this property by my house. I was like, dang, I mean, it's physical. This is what I'm talking about. Physical. This is a real house, real property, right? It was posted online for some ridiculous price, like $1,000 less than market value, right? In a very brand new area, blah, 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 blah. But I was like, look, I went there. It's a physical place, right? The house looks good, right? I'm gonna apply for it. I applied for it, right? Or I sent them a message and nobody responded back. It's okay. I'm looking somewhere else, right? Then a couple of days later, somebody sent a message back saying, yes, thank you very much for inquiring about my property. Now get this. This is one of those Prince from Nigeria kind of messages. I am Prince so and so. I am in US. I am on a project in Africa on 8 years working for USAID. I won't be back, but I'm happy to have you visit my property and take care of my property. We're on a mission for Jesus, and anybody who is God-fearing can come and live it, bruh. And there was no reason for the property to be so low. But once he started putting on that mask, and I please forgive me, audience, for, I'm just saying, our people, we be going through it, right?
Yes.
So these Nigerian Prince type of messages, right? That's exactly what it was. He's like, I'm for USAID. I'm working for USAID, and I've gone on 8 years. I said, bruh, how is that working out for you? I thought USAID funding just got canceled. So anyway, that's what I knew. I was like, these are a bunch of red flags. No, I'm not going for this. And then I put it into ChatGPT. I just said, hey, ChatGPT, does this look like a scam? It was like, this 100% red flag. Nothing about this seemed true, right? So stay away from it. And by the way, I looked up that property. That property doesn't have the names associated with it. Had nothing to do with the people on the property. So, yeah. I mean, the people be trying to get you, bro. Even in the real world, in the physical world, they be trying to get you. So you got to be careful.
So how do you approach educating non-tech audiences about cyber safety?
Just like that, keeping it real, giving real world use cases, talking about things that are, real, that they can feel, and let them know, like you said, 2 of your computers got hammered, right, and unusable, right? This is money lost, right? You invested some money in them, you don't have them anymore, right? I had a friend, he's an older friend. He calls me up one time. No, I started to get text messages from his account, right? And it was like asking for money or something. I was like, nah, I don't think so, right? Right. So I called his son. He's one of my good friends. I called his son. I was like, yo, I'm getting some crazy messages from your pop's phone. He said, really? What's up? And I texted over. He's like, oh, let me call my sister. I said, don't call that number because I think it's been hacked or something. Right. So he called his sister. His sister was said, yeah, his phone got hacked or stolen or something like that. Right. So it be happening, bro. Just giving real world use cases. That's how I remind people that the world is scary out there.
What's your take on the balance between privacy and security in today's digital age?
Well, I'm sitting here talking to you with my face and my name, right? So privacy.
Well, that's not private.
Right. Exactly. There's this, I tell you, I don't do the show lightly. I don't do this event lightly, without heavy thought about it. And my decision was based on exactly that whole balance. You know, what's your why? My why is 8.2 billion people, and I'm not doing it sitting at home without, you know, reaching out to the world. So I
Right.
appreciate you, Brother Charles, for giving me the opportunity to like balance that privacy versus safety. I'm putting myself out there. You know, rest assured, it's a dangerous world out there right now. Anybody, you know, whatever, they can come and take the video and create some deep fakes based on it now. Got
Yeah.
enough content to do it. I put my faith in God, really, and, you know, pray on it and say, you know, I trust in God, and God will, you know, make sure I'm not putting my information out there. I'm not giving, you know, details about my social or none of those kinds of things. I hinted at maybe what my age might be, but, you know, you gotta, you know, I encourage people to be, you know, more safe than not, more private than not. If you can, you know, hold on to your digital identity more, than do so. You know, if it's nothing there to force you to put in true information, put in fake information. Get a
Yes.
series of IDs or a series of information that, you know, this is my MO, then go ahead and use that. And, you know, if they hack that person, well, that person is deep fake anyway, so it don't matter, right?
Yeah, that is true. Can you explain a cybersecurity concept that you think everyone should know?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You know, safety, privacy. That's what I got my PhD in. Security engineering for cyber security engineering for privacy and mobile cyber physical systems. And what that meant was one of the research papers that I published was on the privacy in tolls, right? When you got the toll road, I don't know if you're in Atlanta, they got the Peach toll tag. Down in Georgia, they
Yeah.
got the Peach toll tag. Rest
Yeah.
of the country is Easy Pass. All of them are tracking you straight up, not
Yep.
just on the tolls, on the
Yep.
roadway. There was some research done. I published some research, but there's some hackers published some research where in the newspaper where they were driving around New York City, and they had a cow bell that would ding every time their toll tag was read in the middle of the city, right? I thought it was just for tolls. No, somebody's collecting information on you, monitoring, deep state. Somebody's getting your information. So privacy, what I encourage people to do is to really try to just say no if you can. If you can say no to anything that's popping up, you know, asking you for your information. No. If it forces you, give them fake information, right? Do whatever you can.
Now, I want to tell you this, and there's no puns intended, but you know, the state of Florida is worse than New York when it comes to that toll.
Yes, sir.
They are ridiculous with that. You talking about collecting information, they know who's in the car. And well, yeah, that's a whole nother show, but they do all of that.
Bruh.
They do all of that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do whatever you can to pull back your privacy, right? You got a Tesla, I don't know. That's the most between Tesla and Nissan. Those, you know, are the least private vehicles on earth.
Yes, they are. You're absolutely
they're the least
right.
private on earth. So, you know, I don't know. Just like say no, give it fake information, do whatever you got to do. Do something to scramble that information. So they selling it, they monetizing it. You're not making no money on it.
How do you stay ahead of constantly evolving cyber threats?
Read. You know, there's two sides of it. Well, number one, read. I read a lot. I think I mentioned that earlier, and I think I will always tell you read, not just listen, but read. But one of the challenges is it's too much stuff to read these days, right? It's just like a constant deluge of information just coming at you, right? So there's self-protection and the protection of the company that you work with, right? Or that you're doing projects for, right? So self-protection, the first thing is have a good antivirus, make sure it's updated, pay for it. It's okay, pay for it. Pay for it's going to save you. I'm telling you, it's going to save you, right? Trust me. Yes. Trust me, it's going to pay for itself if you keep your antivirus up to date and keep your patches up to date. Those are probably the two biggest things that you can do. And then when you say stay abreast, it depends on what you want to do with it. I mean, if you're not trying to monetize off of it, it can get too much, right? The only reason why I'm paying attention is because this is my business, right? This is what I make money off of, right? This is what I work, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't because it's too much,
Wow. What role does ethical responsibility play in cybersecurity?
The two biggest things have to do with privacy and we don't have to sign a do no harm, waiver, what I'm saying? We're not doctors that have to swear to God that we're going to do no harm. We do have an ethical oath that we have to take when we go to get a CISSP, Certified Information System Professional, or Certified Information Security Manager certification. You do, but really, as you said at the top of the hour, I consider myself a man of God, and I'm going to always promote people to not just be true to yourself, but God is watching. You know what I'm saying? God is watching. So, let that be your ethical guide. Don't do something that gonna cause you problems with God, like looking at other people's stuff, doing stuff bad to other people ain't going, this is really one of the main reasons why I didn't go the dark route, right? And I say the dark route or the light route, right? Mm-hmm. Hacking is easy to take you down the dark route, and it's easy. Mm-hmm. Hacking is easy, right? Mm-hmm. And you can easily go into the dungeon with this, you know what I'm saying? And when they say dark web, you're it. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to go down that path. But I found that it's a dirty, filthy world. I mean, it's just like anything else. When you get involved in things that when they call it the underworld, when you get involved in it, it's the underworld. And what difference is it between you and somebody that, killed people? You know what I'm saying? But, you're destroying people's lives. You're going, you can have your moral compass and you think you're doing something morally right. If it don't sit right with you, if you don't want somebody doing it to you, don't do it, right? And that's where the hacker side is get in it because it's easy to get into it, but then learn something of, this is what I used to do when I was a hacker, so I know how to defend against it. Then move into the defense side.
Well, something, just 2 follow-ups to that, and just help me out if I'm quite sure other people are thinking the same thing. When you think about the ethics part, and there are lots and lots of parts of our society where people are dealing with serious information, and they have to have ethics. Ethics is primarily like one of those things now that's just second nature, because you can do, not everybody is the same. So I want to make sure I say that, because not everybody's the same. But
for sure.
But there are a lot of people that do stuff, especially when it comes to people's information, where ethics is a large requirement, and the ethics is out the door, especially if you get to learn and know some of these people. The other thing is when you mention this underworld, and when you say the dark world is just as you say it, right? Those people that get into that, they never come back out. And they never come back out because for them, that getting is good and they will never change that, which means that's their genetic makeup. My thing is this question here is, when it comes to those two things, why are they mutually exclusive? And why are we so accepting to these things in society today?
No, I'm going to challenge a couple of things that you said. Number one, I challenge the concept that they don't come back. They can. I did. I'll be honest, right? And I'm not going to get into details of what part of the world, but you can come back, right? Number one, and you can come back when you just come to God. You got one of them come to God moments, and just it don't feel right, right? When you notice that everybody around you is like trying to cause chaos in the world, and this ain't you. You know what I'm saying? You're like, that ain't me. What? I don't even like them. Let me get out of here, bro. Like, stop. Like, let me get out of here. So that's point number one. Mutually exclusive ethics and privacy. Like it can't. You asked a question at the top of the call about the how do you balance impact and profit, right? And I guess what I didn't mention was that you gotta remember that God is watching you. You know what I'm saying? That's how I do. That's one of my guiding things, right? God is watching, and that whole golden rule, that we used to grow up with: do unto others as you would have others do unto you. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy to make money off of other people's privacy, private data, or whatever. It's easy to do that. Are you going? Can you sleep at night? I don't know. I don't know how people with no moral compass sleep at night. But if whatever,
that's what they do.
Yeah, that's it. And lack of moral compass, God's still keeping you alive for a reason. So I hate to get
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? If you got a chance to turn back and get right.
So how have your cybersecurity skills influenced your broader career decisions?
It's interesting. Remember, I said I used to be one of those technical purists, right? And then, with this, you're on this kind of path. Maybe it was like this at the beginning, but it plateaus, right? You hit this ceiling, being technically you're like the best, but technically nobody is, giving you a chance to go higher, right? And not just giving you a chance to go higher, but you're not able to have the influence that you think you should have. Me, I've always wanted to have more influence, not because I want to be the man with the crown or whatever, but I want to have a bigger positive impact on the world. I've always wanted that. And I've realized after reaching this technical plateau that the people who are having more influence they learned how to be nice to people. They learned, how to be smooth. You know what I'm saying? They learned how to, dialogue and, care. They learned how to empathize, right? They learned how to lead with a smile and talk, and not just jump right into the technical details, right? So that has, it kept me in the game, quite frankly, learning how to talk to people. So the technical skills made me deeply rooted in this industry. So professionally, it is what I do. You know what I'm saying? It is professionally what I do, right? But what I had to do was evolve and then take on roles that are less technical purist, right? And more on things where you gotta acknowledge, like, we're not going to be able to solve all of the problems, but if we solve these, 95% of the problems, then we can manage those other things are manageable risks.
Mm-hmm.
So and once I started looking at things as a risk manager, then my life as a cybersecurity professional became better. Before, I was a security engineer, right? But a risk manager looks at things in terms of just balancing the risk. Am I going to spend $1 billion? Like you stumbled on the word homomorphic encryption. Homomorphic encryption is this kind of encryption that I won't go into details, but the point is that it's an advanced encryption mechanism, right? And it allows you to do computation on encrypted data, right? So you can still do stuff with encrypted data, which is like really groundbreaking, phenomenal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But are you going to spend the money to do homomorphic encryption on something when, it costs you, let's say per computation, for regular computation, it may cost you 1 cent, but with homomorphic encryption, it costs you a $1. And if you have to do it 5,000, what would have cost you $5, for example, is now costing you $5,000, and you're like, I don't think so, right? I'm not going to do 5,000 queries, $5,000 per query. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it doesn't make financial sense. You know what I'm saying? So you got to balance the risk, right?
Mm-hmm. So what's one trend in cybersecurity that excites or concerns you the most?
AI. Deep fakes, AI security, automating cyber attacks with AI. What used to be very difficult to learn how to do, right? You don't even have to learn how to do it. You just get ChatGPT to do it for you. You know what I'm saying? AI is the scariest and the most beneficial thing our world has seen.
Last question. How do you make cybersecurity feel accessible to young learners?
Kali Linux. Kali Linux. I say hacking, right? If young learners want to get involved and do something, go look up Kali Linux, right? And don't tell them I sent you. Don't point it at your school. Don't point it at your school and get the school passwords and hack the systems. You're gonna get kicked out, right? And I know when I say don't, I know people are going to go out and do that, right? But the point is that you're going to learn, right? Whatever it is you do, you're going to learn. So I say there's money to be made, but what else? AI, I would say go get good at prompt engineering and try to get a job right now, no matter how young you are or how old you are. Just do some prompt engineering and send out a resume. See what kind of responses you get. You'll be surprised. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you're going to be good for that role. I'm just saying that, it might be, AI is really good these days. So good luck, everybody.
So in closing, what are some words of wisdom that you'd like to leave for our audience? How they can connect with you on social media, how they can connect with you on your website?
First thing, read. Some of the most impactful things, as I reflected on it, were not necessarily people. I could say my mom and dad were impactful, but really reading has been the most pivotal thing in my life. So I encourage everybody to read, right? Visions for Black Men, Community of Self, whatever. Oh, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? Learn people's names, right? But anyway, reading, number one, reading is fundamental. Reading. Okay. So if I can tell everybody anything, go out and read. The rich people do it. It might be good for the rest of us, right? Number one. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Hassan Karim, CISSP. And I look forward to engaging with you and everybody else. Thank you very much.
Well, Dr. Karim, I want to thank you again for being here, because it's been more than just enlightening. This was truly a
Yes,
great
sir.
show. And it's a show, especially with what's happening today and today's times going forward, that, you know, the work that you do in cybersecurity, and as well as the work with the AI and the IT work is really, really important. And I think for people to go out and to be better about this, they need to have some self of being, you know, if they're going to get into that area. But know that if it's something that they want to do, as you was just saying, you know, hey, go do it. You know,
that's right. And reach out, call me, hit me up. You know, I stand ready to mentor anybody from China to Mozambique to the you know, what they call it, the West Side in Atlanta, or wherever West End, right? The West End, wherever you are, I got you.
Well, I want to thank everybody for watching the show, and again, I want to thank Dr. Hassan, because truly, we just all got a life lesson in what cybersecurity is, but also the importance of what it's going to, the role it's going to play in our lives going forward. This is something that I think each and every last one of us, don't care how old or how young you are, you need to start learning this, because we don't know when the inevitable change is going to switch over. But when it does, please be prepared. Because if you're not prepared, then you're left behind.
Yes,
and
sir.
if you're left behind, then you're just what they say, you're just a bomb. Nobody wants to be a bomb. Everybody wants to be a part of what they think is doing them some good and some justice.
Yes, sir.
Please go out there and learn about AI, learn some IT and some cybersecurity, because believe me, it may be here sooner than later.
Bruh, for sure. Look, I'm telling you, it's here. It's here. Good luck.
So for those of you that are watching on the YouTube channel, if you have not subscribed and hit all the notifications, I would ask for your support and ask if you will please do that, because we definitely love to have you to be a part of, you know, this journey as this platform grows, and you get to see all of the great guests like Dr. Karim here, that's got something to share, that's going to help each and every person in all of our communities. Again, Dr. Karim, we got to have you back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everybody share this video. Look, I watched all of his videos. I'm telling you, I went through every one. I wanted to know what kind of questions he was going to have. But share it with your friends. Really, he's dropping knowledge and sharing, like really bringing people from the community together. So if you go link, you know, take clips, share it with your friends, whatever. I hope to smash some things together and make it look funny or whatever. And just, you know, this is the right show to be paying attention to. So thank you very much, Brother Charles King. We really appreciate you.
I thank you, and I thank everybody else. And definitely we got to have you back. So
yes, sir.
You guys have a wonderful weekend. We will see you next week with another great group of shows. Until then, I have an announcement next week, because we're going to be, I will tell you the exact date of when the magazine will be dropping its initial issue. So you all have a great evening, have a great weekend, and we